The images seared into the minds of millions across the globe. Children separated from their parents, unsure of when they'll be reunited. The emotional toll is visible, but the cost of this crisis is also adding up. Some estimate that the government is spending $1.5 million per day on housing alone.
They owe the American public an explanation as to what this is costing them.
Democratic Congresswoman Cheri Bustos wrote this letter to Secretaries Alex Azar of Health and Human Services and Kirstjen Nielsen of Homeland Security, asking for cost details more than a month ago. The letter was co-signed by 107 of Bustos' Democratic colleagues.
There seems to be like this dead silence when it comes from even good Republicans speaking out against some of the abhorrent behavior that we're seeing out of this president.
Do you feel like they stand with you on this issue?
Well, I didn't get any co-signers on it. I guess that's one sign.
Her office says they haven't gotten a response to either the original letter or this marked up resent one.
Were you expecting them to write you back?
I think this is a very unconventional way of running things as far as the Trump administration. They don't feel any obligation to respond to members of Congress. You know, give us an answer. That's all we're asking for. What's this costing? We know what it's costing from a human perspective, from a humanity perspective, but the taxpayer dollars, what's this costing? And yet they couldn't even bother saying, we're going to look into this.
The letter requested cost analysis for numerous concerns, from average per-day bed costs to amounts spent to transport separated children, amount these agencies are paying in rent, to the number of staff hours spent on this policy. They also asked for a list of all the contracts handed out, as various media outlets have reported tens of millions of dollars in deals around the country.
They've got to solve this issue now, and it's a total self-induced crisis.
Neither department has released official numbers detailing these costs. However, NBC News recently reported the cost of holding these children in temporary tent cities is $775 per person per night, compared with $256 per person per night in permanent HHS facilities or $298 at a facility for families.
This is all unnecessary. This didn't have to happen. We could have handled this in a humane way.
Secretary Azar set off a firestorm after speaking about the agency's treatment of children in the 100 shelters across the country.
It is one of the great acts of American generosity and charity, what we are doing for these unaccompanied kids who are smuggled into our country or come across illegally.
I think he doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, look, they're setting up tent cities. They're literally putting children in kennels.
The Department of Homeland Security says it's reunited all eligible families. Still, more than 700 children remain separated after Thursday's deadline mandating reunification of all families. Bustos, who is a widely popular Democrat in a red district, says she's concerned about how this will all be paid for. HHS is said to be diverting more than $200 million from other parts of the department, including the Ryan White HIV/AIDS program.
I don't know where he's coming from, but it seems to be an alternate universe. I don't think it should be coming from public health dollars. But keep in mind, now we're talking about $250 million that is having to be spent unnecessarily.
But the reality is, this is the situation the administration has chosen, and the dollars need to roll in from somewhere. Democrats and Republicans alike say they'll impose penalties on HHS if it doesn't become more transparent. Bustos says emergency funding is likely the best choice. Newsy reached out to both departments for a response to the Congresswoman's letter and for details on the concerns she raised. A spokesperson for Homeland Security responded, saying they don't comment on congressional correspondence.